Hi, I'm Sue Mills. I'm an indie author writing character-driven love stories set in New England. I'm so glad you've joined Donna and me as we discuss all things bookish.
Hey y'all, I'm Donna Madden. I am the author of sweet yet spicy small town romance. It's great to have you. Come on in and take a seat.
Hey everybody, welcome back for our second podcast. And today we're going to talk about mistakes we made so you don't have to. So join Sue and I, and hopefully we can give you some information so you don't have to make these mistakes because we've already done it. So Sue, what is one mistake that you made in your career that you wish you didn't make?
So the first mistake I think I made was choosing my pen name. When I started writing, once I decided that I was going to publish, it's like, all right, what am I going to use for a name? And I wanted something that had some meaning to me. I didn't just want to pick a name out of the hat. So I played around with my kids' names. I played around with their middle names, my husband's name, my father's middle name, because I wanted something that related to me. Mm-hmm. And I would, whatever I came up with, I would search it for every single name that I tried. Somebody already did something, and in one case, I think one name I came up with, the person was in jail. And it's like, okay, well, no, that's not the image I want. So I happened to read Taylor Jenkins' Reid book, and I really liked it. And I said, I like the flow of those three names together. So I thought, I'm going to just use my maiden name along, I'm just going to use my whole name, the three names, Susan Miller Mills, because my maiden name was Miller.
Okay.
Doesn't sound bad. That doesn't sound bad. Well, my maiden name was French. It's actually Meilleur, if you speak French, and it is spelled Meilleur.
Meilleur.
Beur, okay. Yes. So nobody knows how to pronounce it. Yeah. I always knew in school when they got to me, because there would be a pause. What is that name? Most people called it Muller. There's no U in the front of it, but whatever. So that was what I used for a name. And I went to a wedding last summer, and my niece was there, and she goes, "Oh yeah, in school, I always knew when they got to my name because there would be a pause." And I'm like, yeah, I forgot that. And then I thought, people are reading my books and they're going, hey, I read a really good book. It's by Susan. I'm not really sure what her name is. So when I started working, the first call that I had with Emily from Small Fry Marketing, she said, we'd been talking for 20 minutes, and she said, "You've told me your name like 5 times, and I still can't remember how to spell it or how to say it." So we shortened it to just Sue Mills, which is still not perfect because there's another Sue Mills on Goodreads. And every time I upload a book, it goes to her account instead of mine, and I have to contact Goodreads. So, but yeah, I felt like that was my first big mistake I made, was picking my name.
Gotcha. So, well, I always, my name is Donna Madden. And when I started writing, my thing was almost the same thing, because I hate my middle name. I hate it, have never liked it. So I never considered using it or the initial or anything until I started looking up Donna Madden, and there was another one out there. And that's all I'm going to say, because that's all I'm going to say. So on Amazon, there was another Donna Madden. And I was like, I do not want people to think I'm her. So I went to Donna R. Madden. So my middle name is Ruth. So there you go. And one day, it's my name, because I figured I didn't want anyone to not be able to find me right off the bat. And if, I'm a teacher, but if I'm writing something that I don't want people to know about, maybe I shouldn't be writing it, because again, I'm a teacher. And so I didn't want to hide behind a pen name. So I used Donna R. Madden. One day when I do something else, I'll use Dr. Madden, and then I can say I'm a doctor, even though it's my initials. There you go. I'll be Dr. Madden. So anyway.
I will probably, everything I write will probably be under Sue Mills, even if I change my direction slightly, because I'll never be able to remember a different name. Because I usually, if I think of myself, I think of myself as Susan. And so when I write my name, it's Susan. So if I'm signing books, it's like, oh no, I need to remember I'm Sue, not Susan.
There you go.
So yeah, I can't.
So I guess we're saying that make sure your pen name is one, something you can remember, two, something people can pronounce, and three, unique enough, but but it has to be memorable and easy to remember.
Right, exactly. Something that it's easy for somebody to say, hey, I just read a book by Donna R. Madden. It was really great. You should give it a try.
There you go.
So yeah.
And not get stuck on how to say a last name. See,
Right.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. I guess I'll go. Something that I had to learn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, probably I'm going to steal one that you said because we already talked about. I thought it too. On Amazon, when you're uploading a book, we write romance or the romance genre of some sort. And I think like you, I don't want 15-year-olds reading my books. But at the same time, if their parents want them to, it's okay because our books aren't about the activities in the bedroom. They're about the growth of our characters. I think we both agree on that. But Amazon has a question, is this adult content? And I did the same thing. I was like, well, I don't want a 10-year-old reading my book, so I'm going to mark yes. And then your book can't be found by anybody. And so I want everyone to know that unless you're writing erotica, you don't mark that adult content because your book won't be found. And I didn't realize that until my friends were looking for it. And they're like, are you sure you uploaded to KDP to Amazon? I can't find it. I'm like, what are you talking about? So then I had to dig around in some Facebook groups to figure that out. So
even if they're looking for book title by Sue Mills,
it's not there.
It's not there. So my first two books that I published under that first pen name, nobody could find it. And I had to actually send people links so that they could get to it. And then when I started publishing as Sue Mills, it was the same thing. And so I hadn't published as Sue Mills only like a month. And I went to an indie reader conference in Vegas called Author Nation. And they have all kinds of vendors there on the first day. And Amazon was there. And I made a beeline to Amazon. And I said, I have a very specific question. And so I went through my whole scenario. Why can't people find my books? And they said, oh, did you click that box? And I said, yes, because I have bedroom scenes.
Right.
And they're like, oh, no, only if you're getting like really, it's erotica. And I immediately went to my hotel room, changed that on the three books that I had out at that point, and voila, instantaneously they were available to be found. So
and that's falsely leading because like we said, we have bedroom scenes, or in my case, random other place scenes.
Yes.
But it's that's not what our books are about. Our books have plot. Our books are contemporary romance with spice, or like I say, mine are steamy and spicy, sweet and spicy romance.
Right.
But when you see that, because it says, does your book have adult content? Those are the words. And it's like, well, yeah, it does. Yeah. But if you don't know, so everybody out there, unless you're writing erotica, do not mark the adult content. Your book will be gone off of Amazon.
Nobody will find it.
Yep. Not even you, not even when you're looking for it. So that's important. Yep. That's something I wish I knew. And yours was marked like that for how long?
Well, I published my first book under Susan Miller Mills in December of 2023. and I published my second one in April of 2024. And then I pulled those off and I retitled them, I added content, I recovered them, and published them in October, started in October of 2024. And it was November so a year. Yeah.
Wow.
That nobody could really find them. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny now. At the time, you were probably sick. You probably felt sick.
Well, and like you, I had searched around trying to figure out, but I was not successful in finding an answer to my question.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, so I'll go.
Okay.
My next thing was that very first book. I paid to have it formatted. I paid for my covers, and I actually got my cover on sale. And while they were in the process of doing my cover, they sent an email saying, "Hey, we're now offering formatting." And I had no idea what formatting was.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, okay, I'll let them do this because I'll pay them to do this because I have no idea how to do it. I had actually talked with another author friend, and she had mentioned it, and she had mentioned Atticus, and I'm like, I don't think I can figure this out. So I paid for formatting for those first two books.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time it went pretty well. The second one, I had to send it back like 3 times because they had jumbled up some chapters. I'm reading along and it's like, what? Wait a minute, we're missing pages here. So I bought Atticus and I figured it out. I'm not a pro in it by any means. I wish I knew more. I want to do some fancier things with my books, so I need to figure out how to do that. But I wish I hadn't wasted that money on the first couple.
I did the same thing. My first series, there's 1, 2, 3. At the time, there was 4 in that series, and they all went through a formatter. And she was sweet, and she was easy to work with, and she made some really nice looking interiors. But she did my paperbacks and my ebooks. But like once I realized that I should have the back of my ebooks link to my next book, have a link, I had to contact her again, and she charged me every time I needed to make a change. I get it. But I was like, this is getting expensive. If I saw a typo, because I'm an English teacher, if I find a comma that's out of place, it irritates me. And I found because you can read your book a billion times, you're going to find something every time. And so I found, at one point there was an end of a sentence without a period. That bothered me. She charged me $25. And just all these little charges. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I did the same thing as you. I found Atticus, and for the price of Atticus was 1 formatting of a book.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm like, wow. It is simple to use. And I even make my own templates now. Every one of my books has its own template. In the formatting section of it, every one of my books, because all of my chapters have chapter headings. If I can figure it out, that's how easy it is. So I mean, if you have to, go ahead. But know that when you have a formatter, every little change they're going to charge you for. When you can purchase, if you have a PC, you can purchase Atticus, and it's what, $150, I think.
Something
maybe.
Just 160.
I've had it for 2 years, so I don't remember, but I know it has paid for itself because I do everything.
Right. I don't even think that it has gone up in price from when I bought it.
And every time there's an edit or an update, it's free. It's a one and done. And it's awesome. And it's simple. If I can figure it out, you upload your Word doc, bam. As long as your Word doc is formatted correctly, and that's a learning curve.
Oh yeah.
That's but now okay, there's something I wish someone would have told me, a mistake I made. I didn't know the Control F button on Word existed. And I didn't know Do you not know? And
What is
like that shows me my table of contents.
okay?
Okay. And I didn't know that I needed to put my chapters in heading 1. So that way when I uploaded to Atticus, they're automatically there. I didn't
Right.
know. So I
Right.
had my first couple uploads were so chaotic because I didn't have my Word doc formatted correctly.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But once
And
I
I go
did that, done.
right, and I go. They've got great tutorials. Every time
I do.
I get ready to upload a book, I go back and look at the formatting. Okay, what do I need to do now? Oh yeah, heading. The headings. I finally got that part figured out, but and how many spaces and
Right.
if you have it formatted correctly,
It's
I
so
beat my
simple.
head against a wall on the first book I did
Mm-hmm.
because I did not have it formatted correctly. And but you can upload it multiple times because
Oh
I
yeah.
did.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And I
yeah,
I even use Atticus now, like when I need to, like on my website, you can purchase or no, you can't purchase. You can go to No One But You and click on a link to get the first chapter of No One But You to join my mailing list.
okay,
And so I formatted that just chapter 1 in Atticus.
okay.
And then I put that on BookFunnel, and so that's something, learning how to use, taking the time to learn how to use a formatting software. You and I both use Atticus. There's also Vellum, which I don't have a Mac, so I have no clue.
Right, right.
But Atticus is easy, it's fun, it's worth the money. And there's a shameless plug for Atticus. So
Yes, right, right. Not a sponsor.
no, not a
If you'd like to
sponsor.
sponsor us, we'd love to have you.
We will
Um,
have you because we love
yeah,
you. So,
yeah.
but
But
yeah, they have saved us money and saved us time. And
and just like you, what you said about realizing if you wanted to change something, I had to get a hold of, and the company that I used that did my formatting was willing to make some changes for me without a cost, which was nice.
mm-hmm,
But you kind of thought, I'm going to want to update my back matter,
mm-hmm.
and I
Your
can't
front
keep,
matter, who knows?
right, can't keep going back to them every
Mm-hmm.
time.
Right.
So I'm just really happy that I got on the Atticus bandwagon
Me too.
and do
And
it on my own now.
I think part of that comes with, we chose indie author because we want to do it on our own,
Mhm.
and giving us the formatting freedom
Yeah,
goes hand in hand with that.
yeah.
Because we can change it at any time, and it's a simple upload. The ebook is a simple upload, really quick and simple to KDP, and it's updated.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's
absolutely.
so easy.
I've never thought about that because I've always read books that were written well. And so I did a whole class on how to write show not tell, and I watched all these tutorials once I heard about it. And I would go through my book and have a section, and I'd be watching this tutorial. I forget what it was, but she was like, if you say this, find that spot and now say it again this way. And I just watched my book change. Here's one, and I know a lot of us, just so you guys know, we have a list here, but and a lot of our things are exactly the same. Um, a mistake that I wish I would have known is, I'm a big reader. I have always read, but there was a lot about the writing, how things are written, that I didn't know. And like one is this whole show not tell. And that was so cool. So now when I teach creative writing at school, I know to teach that because I never thought of there's so many things when you're a reader you don't think it's something to write, you know?
Yeah. I still struggle with the show not tell. Um, that, am I showing enough?
Right.
Am I getting into that trap of telling? Because it's so easy to tell. And I go
Mm-hmm.
back, I had written a couple of short stories before I get into the writing really heavy. And one of them I entered in a Author Nation is doing they did a Kickstarter with short stories in a short romance stories. And I got involved in that. So I needed to submit a short story. And I thought, this is a kind of cute story, and I'll just rewrite it, see what it needs. And it needed a lot. It was one of my very early writings. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so much show, so much telling. Um, so that's something I've struggled with. The other one you mentioned briefly, not today, but in our notes, was head hopping.
Oh, yes.
I had no idea
Me.
that you were supposed to stay in one person's point of view.
Right.
And the first person that read my first work is like, you head hop all over the place. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what that means? I started actually labeling my chapters for each character whose point of view I was in. And I started it because it was for me. And then I left it in there. I was like, okay, I kind of like that.
Right.
Do you ever get annoyed by like well-known authors when I go and read their books? And it's like, oh my gosh, they're head hopping. They're changing like point of views within 2 pages.
Right. Yes.
It's like, I guess once you're well known, you can do that.
You can do whatever you want once you're making the
Yeah.
money. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
that is true, because I mean, once I heard that I was doing that, and like you, I let someone read it. I was in this very expensive writing coaching program, and they mentioned that. So I started reading, and I had books that I would write. Okay, this, I would write the person's name. And then when it went back to another person, and that's how I got to see it. Oh my gosh, books do that. They stay in one person's point of view. As a reader, I never noticed that, and,
Yeah.
but now it seems like readers know a whole lot more than
I
they
think
did
so.
when we were growing up. But yet they have the internet. They can find these things. I had
Yeah.
Kroger and the grocery store. That's where I would go buy my books,
Right.
when they would come out once a week. But
Right.
but yeah, so and my first series is written in third person POV, and head hopping is a whole lot easier to do in third person POV. But I did notice in your books that you could, because you write third person, but I
Right.
did notice your first book, it's labeled. So we know whose POV is coming
Yeah.
in. But I
Right.
write in first person POV now. And you know what? At first it was hard because I've never really read it, but it's what contemporary romance is going to. And most
Right.
books have it. And now that I do it, it's impossible to head hop, because every chapter's in one person's point of view and you are that person. And also I've noticed showing is easier when you're in one person's point of view, because I am Kai or I am Cora. And so I can just get into their mindset and their feelings become natural.
Right.
So
Right.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. So I'm mine are all third person. A favorite author who I went to a signing that she did, and she did a little talk, and she talked about she went to the Iowa. She got her master's from the Iowa School of Writing, or whatever it's called. And she said she had a professor who said never write in first person. So she writes in third person. So when I started writing, it's like, okay, can't write in first person.
Yeah. But
So
now
I'm
everyone's
not
doing it.
right. I'm not going to switch in this series that I'm in, but it's kind of like, ooh, if for future books, do I want to change? I'm pretty accustomed to doing the third person. And sometimes I see things on TikTok or Facebook, and it's like, oh, I never read first person, or I never read third person. It's like, I really don't even give that a thought.
I
However
know.
the book is written, it's written.
Well, I've thought a lot about this, and as a teacher of high school students, the kids nowadays, and the 20 and below age ranges, I really think they love first person because it is easier to read. They don't have
Yeah.
to they don't have to think. I mean, they have to think, but when the chapter's in Cora's point of view, they know the entire chapter is going to be that way, and they are Cora. So it's
Yeah.
easier as kids or young adults who are trying to get into reading. because there's a lot of 20-year-olds who are just starting to read. It's easier, whereas you and I grew up in the third person world.
Yeah.
Because it's like I write novellas, and my first novella was written in first person. And this next novella, I'm like, I want my novellas to be written in third person because they're older women,
Oh, yeah.
And so, but now I'm like, ugh, do I go back and redo novella number one? Because novella number two, I'm writing it in third person. And so that's where, that's why I was wanting to get it done, but now I'm stuck. What do I do?
Yeah.
So making
I
sure you
know.
don't head hop and you stay in your point of view that you started in is really important. I think that's
Right.
all this POV. I think that's what our thing is. Make sure you stay in one point of view, or you let the reader know, like I've noticed you do, you have your scene break and a new name.
Right.
Scene
Right.
breaks
And
are where you go into something else.
right. And I have in my more recent books, I try to keep the point of view to a chapter. I try not to. I know in my early books I had it changed within the chapter, and I'm trying to get now where it's one point of view throughout the chapter. The place that I find it the hardest are the bedroom scenes, because I kind
Yeah,
of feel like,
right.
I want to get into both their feelings, and that's I've struggled with it
Yeah,
a little bit.
and that's true because you want to know both. And so my bedroom scenes, those chapters tend to be shorter. So that way I can end the chapter and hop into somebody else's head.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah. I think I've done that to some degree too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So there's one more thing that made me think, and I think we've both had this issue when we first started, not wanting anyone else to read our work.
yeah,
That was so hard. And for all those people out there, before you publish, someone else has got to read your work. So find an honest friend. Or if you can't, if you need a stranger, you think it'd be easier for a stranger, find a writing critique group online. Contact one of us. But be willing to take constructive criticism, because you can't get on to the next level without it. And that's
yeah,
so hard. Like, I didn't want anyone not liking my work, so I think that's why I kept it to myself. But I mean, your first book, your first piece of writing isn't good. But even the best writers have to revise a billion times before the book gets out there.
oh yeah.
And you have to know that. So I wish people would have I wish I would have known that my first writing wasn't going to be good and it needed to go through many revisions before I put it out, because I put it out right away and I wasted money and I had to pull it down to revise it.
And people are generally very, very kind.
Yeah.
The first person that read my work, she made a lot of suggestions, the head hopping, the point of view. But she also told me the things that were good. And I had a few more people read it before it actually went to, well, actually, I had a few people read it. There was one person who I thought was kind of harsh. She, I felt really, she didn't leave me feeling good. So that was hard. And, but I did learn some things from her. And then I spent a year working with two women who found me on the internet, and they were looking to form a critique group. And they said, we want someone who is honest. We don't want you to say, oh, this is fantastic, And we exchanged a chapter a week. And then we would critique it, and we would meet on Zoom for an hour and talk about it. And I got to the point where I would go, okay, I'm ready for my weekly session of getting beat up, because they were really hard on me. And I still hear their voices today. When I'm writing something and if I'm not sure that it's exactly how it ought to be, I can hear Sally and Cheryl saying, you shouldn't do this. And I know it needs to be changed. So, yeah, letting somebody read your work is just so valuable, and you need to, and don't be reluctant to do it, because most people are very kind.
And I mean, like we said, they may not tell you your book's amazing, but it's probably because it's not. And you need to hear that so you can change it before you get thrown over the coals on Goodreads or on Amazon. And that's very hard to
Exactly.
come back from.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing
Yes.
that I was really reluctant to do, and still struggle with, is self-promotion.
Mm.
I was, that isn't the way I was raised.
Right. To talk about
So
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a tough one, but I'm getting better at it.
There you go. And I was the same way, but I do a lot of vendor events where, like arts and craft shows and
Mm.
stuff. I do a lot of them. And especially in the fall, not so much in the summer in Tennessee, it's too hot. And then I do TikTok now. And the more you do it, the better you get. Because, and my husband tells me this all the time, if I'm not going to love my books and talk about them, no one else is going to.
That's a good point. You have to remember that one.
You know? And so if I want people to talk about my books, I have to be willing to talk about my books, or else why should they talk about it?
Yeah.
So absolutely. And the only other thing I have on here, this is a whole nother subject, is TikTok issues. And I know I helped you through some stuff. And when you go to sell on TikTok, that's a whole new environment. And there's so many issues that can go wrong. But I think we could do a whole session on
Oh, I
how
think we
to
could.
sell on a TikTok, on the TikTok app. So out of everything you have learned, what is the one piece of advice that you're glad you got?
I think the letting people read my work. I really think that's what's made a difference. That's
Mhm.
how I've grown. If I had just kept it in a little box, I wouldn't have gotten any better. And I feel like my writing has gotten better, which is the whole
Right.
point. Almost any author you read, if you read their early stuff and then you read stuff that they've written, 5 or 10 years later, it's so much better.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's definitely what I want.
Me too. And I think we can both agree also that learning in the beginning that the mistakes we made is knowing that we can't, if it's a tech issue and we don't know it, we need to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because having a website is so important. I have just gotten my website redone by Emily at Small Fry Marketing. I think it was in June or July of this summer. And I'm seeing a difference on my email newsletter and of, my online sales and because my website is usable. And she does something with SEO. I don't know what that technology junk is, but it's just I have noticed things changing because it's not me trying to do a website. And I tried. I watched videos. And then I would, okay, I did this part. And then I wouldn't do it again for a month. And I'd realize I'd go to Google DonnaRMadden.com and it wouldn't show up because here something was out of date. So you need a website, you need an email list. And if that is not part of who you are, you need to find someone to do it.
Yeah. That is such good advice.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is worth every penny.
I
And
totally.
my husband even says that because after I talked to Emily at Small Fry for the first time, I said, okay, well, I've got to think about this because it was taking on a monthly expense for me. I mean, she gave me a number of options, but the one that was the
Mhm.
most appealing was the monthly. So I went to my husband and I said, okay, I had this conversation with this marketing person, and this is what she'll do for me. And this is where I was, like my covers. I mean, I was having to pay for a cover every
Right.
time. Anyway, now that's included. And this is what it's going to cost. And he kind of swallowed hard. And he said, if this is what you think you need to do, then fine, because he's really supportive. And there are so many times over the past year that he has said, this was the best thing you did. And
Absolutely.
um,
Mhm.
every thing that she does for you is amazing. So the other thing, on that same grain, I in 2022, I went to, there's an indie author conference called 20 Books Vegas.
Well,
And
didn't
I
that
went
just
to,
change?
yeah, it changed last year. So I went in 2022 by myself. And I'm pretty much an introvert. So I learned a lot, but not as much as I could have if I were more willing to talk to people and stuff like that. The next year, 2023, my husband went with me, and he actually worked as a room monitor, which was pretty cool. Gave him something to do. Um, and then we went again in 2024. That's when it changed to Author Nation.
That's right.
And at the end of on Thursday was the last day, and then the Friday is a author signing day. So on Thursday, I went to the closing thing, and he had gone back to our room. And when I got back to the room, I said, well, this is what it's going to cost next year. I think it was this year, could be like $700. But if you signed up, I like Sunday, you got it for $4.99. And he said, well, then you need to do that because you're coming again next year, because he saw the value. So
Right.
that it's an expense, but anytime that you can meet with other authors, that's just so helpful. And it's, if you're serious about what you're doing, I think that's a well spent money to go to something like that.
And that is top on my list of things to do when I'm no longer working, because I can't take a week off of work as a teacher.
Yeah.
It's not like I get lots of time off as a teacher, but we don't have the ability to say, oh, I need this week off, and we can't do that. So that is on my list. And of course, I think I told you my in-laws, my brother and sister-in-law live out in Vegas. They're only like 20 minutes from the strip. My sister-in-law works at one of the casinos out there. So it's like my husband and I would have a place to stay.
Right.
So that the first year I can walk away from teaching, that is when I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everyone goes, and people come from overseas to attend Author Nation.
Yeah.
And
it
so
was right. So the 2 years that I went, that it was 20 Books Vegas, I think they had maybe like 1,800 authors there. It was huge.
Wow.
It was not as big last year, because I think it was the first year that it was under new leadership. It was called Author Nation. And the first day or two, or maybe probably the first day, I looked around and I thought, oh, this isn't going to be as valuable as it was before. And by the end of the fourth day, it's like, okay, yep, I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad I came.
Wow.
And anytime you can get that kind of education, it's valuable. And there's lots of groups like that you can go to.
Well, Sue, I think again we had a great discussion.
We did.
And one day we will meet at Author Nation. If we don't meet before that.
And I'm actually thinking, while I'm out there, it's the first week in November, we'll do a podcast while I'm
that would be cool.
So,
yes.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. So
that would be. Maybe we could.
I plan to take my followers along with me.
There you go. That would be so much fun. We'll have to keep that in mind too, to do that at different places we go. Because I have a lot of signings, romance signings I'm doing next year. So cool. That would be really cool. Well, thank you so much. Everybody who's on here, again, follow, do all the things that we can do, share with your friends, and drop us comments. We are here to help.
Absolutely.
Well, Sue, you have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.